is very simple. What we're saying is, take all the money that you're supposed to be using for poverty eradication and put it under the control of a commission accountable to Parliament. Ask that commission to table half-yearly accounts. Ask the Auditor General to check so that we know that the money is going to where it's supposed to be getting when we talk of poverty eradication.
Yes.
Why have we been working on this? Very simple. According to official data, which is quite hard to get, but according to that data, from what I know, the poverty rate stands in the region of about 3.8%. In the last 10-15 days, I've been reading that the rate has dropped to 1 point something. So we've nearly wiped out poverty in this country. Quite amazing, really. Now I salute the BN for that. You know, it's part of the delusions, I think, that surrounds Putrajaya in how they look at things. All right, let's look at how they've achieved these figures. The data shows this, that according to the government, if you, family of 5, earn anything more than 764 ringgit, you are not poor. I'm not making this up. You can check. It's on site, online, and on the Anak Bangsa Malaysia website. It's on the Hakam website as well. So, if you are a family of 5 and you earn 764 ringgit a month, you're not poor. So you have to eat, sleep, housing, medical, recreation, clothing, etc., etc., all on the princely sum of 763 ringgit. No wonder we're so rich as a country. We only have poverty of 3.8%. All right. So, if I were to say that figure was adjusted upwards to 1,200 or 1,500 ringgit, the figure jumps to about 38%. Now, let's not forget that magical figure of 3,000 ringgit. Brim. If we apply 3,000 ringgit, we're looking at something in the high 60s.
Wow.
And then we ask ourselves why crime is spiraling. Why it is that the social ills that we have to deal with, because apparently the policemen are too busy doing other things than to deal with them effectively. That's why somebody gets murdered every so often. It's shocking. It's gotten to a point where how many of you actually feel safe living where you do? How many of you have contemplated or actually are in the process or are currently paying people to provide private security? Now, why are we doing that? Why are we doing that? Because we're not addressing what needs to be addressed. And you know, from the data I've been looking at, the truth of it is that poverty does not recognize any racial boundaries in this country. The percentages are about the same. The big group are Orang Asli and Orang Asal. So what does that say about the fact that the Malays will be marginalized? Absolutely no chance of that, if we applied the monies the way they needed to be applied. So that is the truth of it. And this is the system that they are now saying is going to be reformed. How are they reforming it? Now, do you remember in 2010, Idris Jala spoke about this country potentially facing bankruptcy in 2019? Do you remember that?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember how quickly they pulled the plug on Idris Jala?
Yes.
All right. But one of the things that Idris Jala said, which was remarkable to me, was this. He says that they had to stop, or rather they had to rein in public spending. They had to rein in subsidies. They had to look at how to approach this in a coherent way to stop all that money from being lost to us, so that we wouldn't become Greece. The main thing being, stop indiscriminate spending. What have we seen this government do since then? Spend more money.
Yeah.
What some people are saying in the region of 56 billion, have I got that right?
Yeah.
56 billion or so. Now that's what we're talking about, really, at the end of the day. This is the reform they're saying is going to happen. So my fear is, if we don't change the system now, what we're going to be dealing with in the next election is a country in which polarizations are happening very, very differently, along very different lines. Now I ask you, if you feed people on a steady diet of race and religious extremism, what are you doing? You are letting that tiger go, and then you're trying to catch it by its tail later on, right? By which time it would have eaten you up. So my concern is, and I'm not talking about Karpal Singh, my concern is, unless we do something about this, it's going to be a little too late to do very much in the next election.